So right now there's a big debate, or Chicago and Illinois are on guard, let's say, because the administration is now toying with the idea of deploying national ICE operations and National Guard to Illinois, specifically to Chicago. Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago, is adamantly opposed to it. Pritzker, of course, is opposed to it. Trump over the weekend posted this truth specifically pointing out why they should not be opposed to it, where he said at least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. 8 people were killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago is the worst, most dangerous city in the world by far. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but he's a salesman. Pritzker needs to help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in DC. Chicago will be safe again and soon make America great again.
I have updated numbers actually on that I just got. 59 people shot, 9 homicides, 3 mass shootings, 2 suspects detained, which is crazy that only 2 suspects were detained. But why are we not talking about those mass shootings? I think we should, why are we not?
Well, because for the Democrats, they don't have any political
right. Which is why Brandon Johnson can stand up and basically give a speech that's inciting violence.
Do you want to hear that speech?
Yes, I would. Let's let everybody listen.
Are you prepared to defend this land that was built by slaves, a land that was built by indigenous people, a land that is built by workers? Are you prepared to defend this land? The people united will always prevail. I need you all to stand firm, to stand strong. If this president decides to continue to break this Constitution.
Yeah. So when Democrats do it, it's not considered inciting violence. But if a Republican said those exact same things, that would be inciting violence.
Also, I don't understand this land. Is he talking about Chicago specifically, Illinois, the United States,
wherever he is? That's it. That's the whole thing. They're not talking about anything. They just say things. They say words. There's no specificity.
No, me neither.
It's Monday. No, it's Tuesday. Oh my gosh. I can't even say words. Blame my children. Anyways, what were you going to say, Amanda?
Yeah, there's nothing I think better for Trump and Republicans than for Democrats to be focused on don't you dare come take on crime in our cities and obsession with the Epstein files.
Yeah.
This is actually perfect going into midterms. So I guess that's fine. I mean, didn't the DC mayor kind of turn around and kind of thank Trump?
Yeah, he had to.
That he's gonna crack down and he's gonna take care of homeless encampments now. So I think Democrats, after they were really against it, are now kind of waking up. But I don't think all the base wants to do is just be the diametric opposite of Republicans. And we're in a good space.
I think I agree, because at this point, as we're getting closer to the midterms, the economy is always a big one. And the economy for right now continues to be stable. Is it great? No, but it is stable. We don't have rising prices. It'd be nice if they were lower, but at least it's not like during the Biden administration where everything kept going up, right? As we were getting into the midterms. So there's that. And the fact that they continue to choose the side of either illegal immigrants who are violent or hurt people, they're still throwing their body in front of Abrego Garcia. And then on top of that, being opposed to having help with crime when you have such a bloody Labor Day weekend in Chicago, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And instead of them going, you know what, you're right. You did a really good, maybe you don't even have to say you're right, but you did a decent job in DC. Let's have a conversation. Let's see how we can work together in order to make the situation better in Chicago. Now, they're saying, which is correct, in that the president had more control over DC because it is federal. And so he had more leeway in deploying the National Guard and federalizing the local PD. He does not have that power in Chicago. However, what he can do is do an ICE operation in Chicago and then deploy the National Guard to defend those federal agents and federal buildings like he did in California. Now, granted, a judge in California, like a appeals court judge in California, just ruled that Trump overstepped in what he was doing. But he also said, or she, I don't know who did the ruling, but the ruling also said that this did not apply to DC and it did not apply to Chicago because it depends on how he uses the National Guard in Chicago. So, but what I have noticed, and here I have Pritzker, he is now, not only is he opposed to the National Guard coming to help deal with crime, but he is also floating this conspiracy that Trump is setting up National Guard across the United States to intimidate voters for the midterm elections. So here's Pritzker.
The other aims are that he'd like to stop the elections in 2026 or, frankly, take control of those elections.
Oh, brother.
He'll just claim that there's some problem with an election, and then he's got troops on the ground that can take control, if, in fact, he's allowed to do that.
Right, sure. That's what.
So what do you think about that one, Amanda? I mean, he's isn't Illinois like close to, I'm looking at the map in my brain right now.
Yeah, it's somewhat. I mean, Chicago's, every time I've been to Chicago lately, I've actually never been to Chicago when somebody's car that drove down there didn't get broken into or glass is broken or something. Like, there's problems in Chicago, but I think something else that's being left out of this, the largest Palestinian and Arab population in the country is actually in Chicago. It's not in Dearborn, Michigan. So that's
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I did not.
that could be a layer to this. A lot of activists there. I mean, the whole election denying thing, I think that unfortunately this is just something that's going to happen forever. Gavin Newsom had a clip this weekend too where he said he's going to put ICE at voting booths and intimidate people. I thought they couldn't vote. So I'm a little
Well, also I would see a little bit more possibility legally of putting National Guard at voting booths, even though I don't think he would have that right, but you could maybe make more of an argument than ICE officers. That makes absolutely no sense to me. To me, it's just them creating an environment of panic and fear, which then in turn, if Trump does send the National Guard in and ICE agents in, things in Chicago are going to, I would,
off.
yes, and I would not be surprised if they're worse in Chicago than they were in LA.
No, they just want violence. We've talked about it a billion times. I think there's a streak where they're looking for a reason to have a reaction, and then they can foment that fear and that anxiety through violence, and then be like, look at what he did, look what he caused, and think it's going to play well for them. I think it's going to backfire.